Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Ultimate Trading webinar for beginners. My name is Danny, and I will give you the webinar today. So we will open the webinar with an introduction, as we said, and we will open a nice notepad for the notes. Okay. And as many of you know, AvaTrade is a regulated company. We're here since 2006. We have 9 licenses worldwide. In case you got a question or a query, you can address our customer service right here at the bottom left. You can chat with us or on the WhatsApp. Or if you're using a different interface, you can contact us directly through cs@avatrade.com. Now, if you got a question regarding trading, you can have a senior account manager assigned on your account to give you full support through the process with all the matters regarding trading. That means strategy, risk money management, margin calculation, everything you want related to trading. Beside giving you a financial advice, a senior account manager is there, including a guide through about the platform. If you want, your senior account manager is there. All right, and if you don't have one, you can check depending on your eligibility with customer service to assign you with one. All right, and as I said, we will have today the webinar on the web trader, which can be accessed, which is embedded in the website, and you can access it just by logging in with your email and password. And right now is displayed the desktop version. But what if we're using a phone? Well, we have an app called the AvaTrade Trading app, and you can enjoy similar features on the app as well. Apart from that, we have the regular traditional platforms MT4 and MT5, and we have AVA Futures, which we added recently, and AVA Options. Okay, and lastly, AVA Social, which we would maybe say a few words since it's a very useful app. What this allows you to do is basically to follow or copy another trader. What that means is, let's suppose that we are trader A and we are now following trader B. All right, so as a beginner, I'm not always sure about what strategy I'm going to use and how I'm going to do things. So what can really help is to follow someone who does. And what that means is that when I'm following trader B, I'm going to get notifications with what trader B is doing as a message, as a notification, and then I can do the same thing that I'm getting, or I can modify to my needs. Okay, that's following. Choosing to open the trade or not is in my hands and will not happen automatically. Copy from the other end will allow us to enjoy the same strategy as trader B is doing actively and automatically. Okay, which means that when I'm following a trader, following trader B, I'm going to get messages and it's up to me to open the positions or so. When I'm copying another trader, this will happen automatically. Positions will be opened automatically in my account. Of course, if I want, I can go back to the history and review everything that trader B has done and happened on my account. And the app itself is download for free, so why not to do it and explore. All right. Now we're going to go through the things displayed. Any questions, by the way, from what I said about AVA Social? Questions about the functionalities? Any questions so far, guys? If there are, please feel free to share. All right, so we're going to go through the things displayed to the left, beginning from the top, going down. The first one is just to display my personal area with my details, which I see people raising their hands. There is no need. You don't have to raise your hands. It's a live webinar. You can just feel free to type in the question section, which can be found at the left bottom of your screen. Just type whatever question you've got. All right, so as I said, in here at the top, I can, this is my personal area. I can sort out everything's related to my account. In here is where we are at. which is the default screen as well, which sometimes can be displayed like this, and you can easily fix it by clicking on the two arrows to the upper right. Going down, we've got the existing positions. Underneath, we've got orders for any pending orders that we've got. Underneath is history. And there is a question here from Hija Yusuf. How to follow? First of all, thank you for the nice question. The answer is that you download the app, and in the app itself, you select which trader you want to follow, and then you click follow. Unfortunately, I don't have the app in a moment to show you, but once you download it, there is a video that begins and explains exactly how this can be done. I hope that it helps. So in here, we can review the history that we've got. In here, we've got signals. We're going to go very briefly on how signal works, just to understand how to use it. So if we can look at maybe the first one, Dow Jones, we're going to click on view signal. We see there are some things written here. The type is buy. There is entry price. Okay, so this is maybe supposed to be the price that we're supposed to buy. This is take profit, okay, and stop loss. Now, we have two types of orders. We have active orders, and we've got pending orders. Okay, so active orders is buy and sell at market price, buy and sell market price, and we've got pending orders such as pending buy and sell. Don't worry, I'm just explaining now the basics of just so we can look at the signal and understand what it means. We've got pending buy and sell, and we've got take profit and stop loss. Again, the active orders are orders that happens immediately. Pending orders are orders that be activated when reaching the price. Take profit, closing the position automatically with a profit, and stop loss, closing the position automatically with a loss. Okay, great. Now I'm going to click on view signal. We see that those values are already embedded in the signal. I didn't do anything for that to appear. We're going to click here on view signal. One more thing before we actually do that. The way that it's constructed is from the newest to the oldest. That is imperative to know that. And the reason is, if we scroll down, we see that signal that was produced a few hours ago, the analysis might have already fulfilled. We're going to look at some signals and see that they are no longer valid, as it's been too long or the market has already fulfilled the scenario. We see some analysis here. So going back to the first one, to Dow Jones, we're going to click on view signal. It's still valid, it was just made. We're going to click here on the two arrows to expand the chart. We're going to click here to match the same validity displayed on the chart, so we can see the same approximately image we've got to here. As we can see, this is extremely different. The reason is that the validity of this picture is daily, so each day on this picture showing 1 day. And in here, in the picture, we see that each day, candle displaying 1 minute. Okay, we'll scroll down, and then 1D. And when it's daily, we can click here on the column price and squeeze that down. And now we can see similar picture, and we can maybe also place the line similarly. Okay, we're not going to do that as we don't want to burn our time. Okay, but I can do that. I can further enhance the analysis from here and do my own analysis. Is it free? The answer is yes. It's free, but that depends on your account's level. So you need to check, try and use it, and if you can, excellent. If you can't, you need to contact your account manager. No, you don't have to pay for each signal once you're entitled to enjoy the signals. Thank you for the question, Mr. or Mrs. Kithan. Okay, so as we can see, everything is already set up for us. We didn't write anything in here. We can simply choose a scenario, maybe go with a buy type actually. Click here. By scrolling down, I discover more support and resistance. So clicking here, and we are pretty much good to go. We've got the lot size by default, which we can customize to something else if we want. And at the bottom, we see approximately the results that we can have. So if we're going to use the upper line to emphasize the profit, we're going to maybe also paint it in green and put the same value from the take profit, which is 41,550. Okay, great. And we can also use the bottom line to show the possible loss, maybe paint it in red. And great, if it gets to the green line, we're gonna make $38.70. If it gets down to the red line, we're gonna lose approximately $43.30. Okay, so let's understand a bit what's happening here. Basically, when we are buying an instrument, it doesn't matter if it's an indice or it doesn't matter if it's a stock or a commodity or whatever else we do. When the value increases, we make profit in a buy scenario. And when it goes against us, that means that the value decreases from our entry, then we lose. In a sell scenario, that will be the other way around. So our intention is that the value will decrease, and when it goes higher than the entry price, we lose, which looks pretty much like this for a buy scenario. And maybe if this would have been a sell scenario, that would be the other way around. All right. Now, we can see that using a signal doesn't require us to do any of that. Let's use another one just for fun. Maybe click on the bottom one, NASDAQ US Tech 100. Again, equipped it already with the stop loss and the take profit. We can simply click on View Signal. There are also some analysis here. Again, we're not going to focus on that. We're just going to go with the scenario of the signal. Click here on Buy again, and we are already good to go. With the take profit, it closes the position automatically with a profit, and the stop loss, it closes the position automatically with a loss. Already made for us, and we can maybe adjust the lot size to our need. Maybe if we want to increase, so 280 doesn't seem right, maybe we want to make more, so we can click here on the plus and increase. And then we can see that it reflects on the potential result. Yeah, very user-friendly. Yeah, there's no much to say. It's quite self-explanatory. Are there any questions? By the way, if it looks like that, that means that the signal is no longer valid. So if I'll click on Spain 35 or maybe FTSE, we can see that it doesn't let us use the signal since the market has already reached a key level. And even if we'll try and we'll go with the sell scenario as an example, we see that it doesn't let us use the take profit and the stop loss since there are none. Any questions, guys? Any questions that you would like to share with me regarding the signal sections? When it will. Okay, so there is a question from Max, when we're gonna have a signal from FTSE again. For FTSE again, we don't know. We don't know. We just know that the signal that was made by the Trading Central, this is how we use the signals in here from Trading Central. The analysis for that particular one has already happened, but we don't know when there will be another one. We just need to refresh, come back again to the signal section, refresh, and see when it will be again. But unfortunately, there is no way to know, since we don't know how the market will move. Going further down, we have here the news. Clicking here on news. Question here, can we get recording sessions videos? Yes. you can find all the recordings in our YouTube channel under Ava Trades channel. Yeah. So as I was showing, the signal section, as you can see, as we saw on the chart, is based on technical analysis. Okay, what about fundamental analysis, which we need to combine together? Okay, so this maybe will be the how the market is moving, and fundamental will be why it's moving. And so this will be numbers and statistics and fundamentals will be news and what Trump recently decided with the tariffs and all kind of important things. And we can read all about it in the news section. We can even, we have different subjects in here, which we can select from. And scrolling down, we can understand better what this article is related to by clicking on the 4 related instruments to see. Underneath, we've got discovery, and in discovery, we've got analysis views, market buzz, which I like to show. And I'm going to show you in a minute why, because this allows me to quickly recap with popular stocks, in here it's called mentions, okay, determine the popularity of the stocks. So we've got Plantier and the in the middle. Next to it, we've got Tesla, AMD, Nvidia, and so much more, and Microsoft. And that being the biggest is telling us that it was mentioned a lot online. Maybe clicking on it will take us into the information page. So we can see that Plantier here has different subject most discussed topics. We've got price target raised, earning announcements, earning above expectations, price target set, and rating reaffirmed natural. Maybe we'll go with price target raised, clicking on it, filtering only the related articles, which we can go through, and then go to the chart and see the impact. Very user-friendly. Again, there's no much to say. You can explore it on your own. We can go back and choose another one if we want. Underneath, we also have here the economic calendar. I see people still raising their hands. There is just no need for you guys to get permission to write your questions, since this is a live webinar. So again, feel free to just use the question section and let me know whatever question you've got. There is a question here from Olewafemi. How can I save and apply my indicator settings as default? I can apply for other trades. The indicators stay on the chart even if you leave the window, so you don't have to save them. Thank you for the question. That's an excellent question. I'm going to show you in a moment exactly how they stay on the chart, and you practically don't have to save anything. In the economic calendar, what we can do, let's click here on reset and clicking on today, and then maybe expand the range from today to next week. And we've got a lot of things here displayed, which we don't necessarily need. What we're going to do is we're going to focus on maybe, let's go with the yen, let's go with the dollar, and let's keep it this way. And now we can see that there is this red line here. There are values. Let's see how it's constructed. We've got here previous, forecast, actual, and importance. Importance directing what kind of an impact this article will have. So this seems to be low, low, medium, and we've got high here, only the 2 or 3. What if we want to focus only on the high impact event? We don't really pay attention to those. So what we can do is we can click here on high, and then it will display only high impact events. And as we can see, the red line that we had is actually to show us. I think it reset the whole thing, including our selection. Okay, you can see that this red line with the actual is for things that already took place. Yeah, it's 3 in the morning, so obviously those already happened. And those that doesn't have the actual are events that still needs to happen. All right. Yeah, apart from that, you can also add book it to your calendar by clicking on the add to calendar and then select whatever calendar you've got, and to simply book it to your calendar so you can directly receive the reminder, go to see the analysis, and go to the market to do whatever you intend to do. Very user friendly. You can use for a search. You can search for a particular event if you're looking for, and that is extremely nice. All right, we'll click here on the AvaTrade icon to go back to the default screen, and from here we're going to begin the second segment. Guys, if there are any questions about the first part, please go ahead and let me know. We'll click here on the 2 arrows to expand the chart. Then we're going to click here on the currency pair, delete it, and search whatever we want. Or we're going to search manually by clicking on maybe one of the categories. We'll go with commodities, and then we'll scroll down, go with maybe agriculture, and maybe platinum. Platinum, clicking on a buy. There are also some analysis in here that doesn't look too bad. We're going to expand the screen here by clicking on the 2 arrows, and then we will maybe we'll use what we've got here. No, not really. We'll adjust it a little bit. But before we do that, I would like to go through the toolbar to introduce you guys to those different functionalities so you can adjust the chart to look exactly like you want. We've got here the search bar, which we can search, and then we can click from the list to change whatever instrument we've got. We have to click on buy or sell to open the order entry to the right instrument. So if we go again to platinum, we're going to click on buy or sell to change the gold back to platinum. Now from here, we can go to the right. We already saw how we can change the different time frames. In here, we can change the layout from candles to a line. But as I showed many times in the past, if we choose the line, we can see that in some cases, we might lose a little bit of analysis. We can see that in here, when it broke the support, it reversed. And if we switch to the line, we don't have that bit here. Okay, going to the right, we have here the arrow with the crosshair. So by default, we have no data from the chart, no numbers, no nothing. But if we want data, we can click here on the arrow, click here on the crosshair, and now we do have the data. Going to the right, we can change the layout from 1 chart to 2 charts or even 3, which can display it vertically or horizontally, or even 4. Okay, if we click here on the indicators, whoever asked me about the question, I think Mr. Oluwafemi, you can see that if I'll click here on the RSI, click and drag it to the right, I can click here save, and even if I leave the chart, you see that it was added in here. And even if I leave the chart and open another chart, it's still here. And even if I will select something else, it's still here. And again, as you can see, it stays on the screen right where we added it with no problems. And we can erase it just as easily by clicking on indicators, clicking on the X, and click save. In here, we can add in the tiny arrow, we can add all kind of different lines to help us adjust the chart to get the clearer picture to the analysis we're doing. In this case, we're going to do some quick confirmation with Fibonacci retracement, clicking here and then clicking here to expand, which is different and negative from what we saw here, which is an upgoing motion, a bullish motion. And we can see that it quite matches with the levels that we've got in here. Okay, and that will suffice for us to work with. We'll place one here for that. Another one, one more thing I wanted to say about support and resistance that maybe I should have brought in the signal section. So the lines that I'm placing here are lines that we can see the part where platinum has reached a peak point, a pivot point at 1031, and then we've got another one around 1062. And those 2 points can show me where potentially platinum has maybe a barrier. Of course, if something fundamental will happen, this barrier can easily break, and tendency can change depending on the news. Just a moment. Okay, and last one, which is the floor of this beautiful consolidation. All right, and now we're good to go. Yeah, so with platinum in mind, we see that yesterday was pretty bullish. As you know, a bullish trend is a going up trend. We call it a bullish trend since a bull lifted his opponent in the air and a bear slammed his opponent to the ground, so-called a negative trend. And we can see that yesterday was quite bullish. Okay, platinum rose, I think. Let's enable the crosshair, and then we can see the open and the close. Moved $27, which is not bad at all. But I think we're gonna also look at weekly just real quick and make it a little clearer like that. Yeah, maybe that one we're gonna fix, and that looks much better. All right, so let's carry on with weeks. I like weeks, looks a bit more organized. All right, that also matches exactly with the level that we've seen here. We've got reversal, perfect. All right, so with platinum in mind, thinking it will carry on up, we see, let's put a trend channel, and we can see that the trend is bullish. And let's suppose we think it will carry on up, but we don't want to buy now. We want to maybe work on that a little bit. What we're going to do is enable the execute when price hits, take profit and stop loss. In the beginning, I wrote 3 pending orders: pending sell, pending buy, and take profit and stop loss. Let's erase everything, put platinum, as this is what we're analyzing now. And we're going to also name a few things that will help us construct the position, which is target, time, movements, and units. Okay, we'll explain what each of them means, and we'll see how to use this technique. So at the moment, since we think that the market is in a bullish trend and we think that the value will increase, but we have no further specifications until what price platinum can get or when. And this is an issue because I don't know when I'm going to close the position. So even if I'll click here buy and it goes higher, I don't know at what point I'm going to close it. So how can I design my take profit? That's an ingredient that I'm missing. So let's suppose that I'm going to target the upper line. 1062 seems nice. We're going to paint it in green, and we're going to maybe, just as an example, select it as a take profit. Okay, Now, we see that if it gets to that price, we can make 724 with 0.1. Maybe we'll adjust it to 0.01, as this is the minimum and we can always increase. And we see that now we're making $72. Well, okay, we'll work on that also. But first, I want to validate that this 1062 is really something that Platinum can get to. What do you think? Can it get to 1062 from where it's at right now? Let me help beginners in the audience. Current price, 984.7. My question is, can it move from the current price to the target price, which is 1062? What do you think, guys? Can it move? How far away is that? Let's see, I think around $80. So let's do our target price minus the current price, $77. Okay, $77 away from the entry. All right, so how can we confirm this? Well, one of the ways is to use an indicator. We're going to click here on indicators and we're going to search for average true range by putting AVE, click and drag it to the right. And in here, we're going to click on the color and change it to something else. It doesn't really matter. And in here, we can choose the length of how many candles we want this indicator to analyze and give us an average per week. Okay, why per week? Because the chart is displaying weekly candles. And how many candles? Determined here by the factor length. Length meaning how many candles we will analyze. So we're going to look at the chart and see that 14 candles is quite far away, And we don't want to go this far. What we want to look at is maybe 5 or 6. So let's make it 5 and then click save. And then it analyzes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe we want to make it 6 since we want this big candle to be included. We're going to click here on the indicators, click on the indicator and change the length to 6 and see how it changes from 49 to 50.8. All right, great. But we see that the average true range is 50.875. And the target we set is $77 away, which is a bit too high. It's not in the range. So maybe we'll select something more reasonable. Maybe 1031. 1031. How far away is that? Let's quickly use our calculator. And in our calculator, we'll put the target price again, which is now 1031 minus the current price, 46. Okay, 46 is indeed in our usual range, is indeed in the average movement. Okay, so I think 46 is something we can carry on with, but I am afraid that since it turned around twice in here and in here and in here, I think I'm going to target a bit lower price just to ensure it will trigger and not going to turn around before it reaches the price. So we're going to look at maybe 1015, which is quite in the middle. We're going to paint that in green, and those ones can be something else that doesn't confuse us, which is, let's see how far away that is now. 1015 minus 985, 30. Okay. Well, 30 is definitely in the range. We started from 77, went down to 46, and now we're at 30. Yeah, not bad. Okay. So we'll put next to the ATR $30 from entry, which is the actual price difference we're looking for. Maybe we'll add a rectangle to help emphasize the profit area. And we'll also make one to make the red area and in here $30 less makes it $9.55. Okay, and we'll adjust it to the target price, 10.15, great, and we'll flatten that out to 9.85. Great, great. Now, since we're looking at, we also need to set a target, since $30 is not really what I came here for. I want to make much more than $30. Maybe 500 sounds a lot better. Let's set a target for 500. The time also need to be adjusted depending on the time frame we are trading, and I think weeks quite make sense. I mean, I could change it back to days. Let's keep it a week. I think 500 a week is reasonable. 500 a day, it's great, but it doesn't quite match with what I'm seeing here. The last ingredient that I'm missing is actually how many units I need. And since I want to make 500 and I'm using $30 per ounce, since we're trading platinum, how many do I actually need? So we see 1 unit times 30 equals $30. So how many units times 30 equals 500? Or, in other words, 500 divided by 30 is how much, guys? The actual equation is target divided by movements equals units. So we're going to do it quickly together, unless someone is fast enough to give me the answer. Okay, who knows? Let's see. Correct, correct. Everyone who wrote 17 or 16 is correct. You will see that if I'll try and put an unround number, it's not going to let me. So I actually need to adjust it to either 17 or 16. Maybe we'll make it 17. It looks a bit better. Take profit, keep it the same way. Stop loss, we're going to keep it the same way. Yeah. And we'll lift it up a little bit like this. Great. And now we've got a fully constructed position, which we only need to adjust. Of course, this doesn't provide me any certainty if the market will go as I plan, as this is impossible, but at least I know that the numbers match and I can now modify it to my needs. Before we recap, guys, is there any question regarding anything that I have said so far? Anything that needs to be explained again, or anything that wasn't too clear? Any questions? Okay, coming from Richard. How did you place the lines? Richard, unfortunately, first of all, thank you for your question. Unfortunately, this is not, we've got 13 minutes left. This is not something that I can teach in 13 minutes, but I have placed those lines for you guys to understand a bit better the concept and how it works. And obviously, what I'm showing you now is procedural, which means that I can just put any other instrument instead of platinum, and it will work the same way. Okay, and the reason that I'm showing you showing this on the webinar is that you can just switch the name and the numbers, and the template stays the same. Okay, so the entry here is current price. Take profit is, we said, 10.15. Okay, stop loss, we said 9.55. Okay, but the problem is now that this leads us to the same ratio with the same values. Means that we can lose or gain 500 on both. And if I'm going to take, let's suppose that I diversify and I take another 4 or 5 positions like this. So we've got 5 in total. And then we've got possible profit 500 times 5, that's 2,500 in both cases, which means we can gain or lose the same amount. Now, this doesn't allow me, if all of my positions are making profits, great. If all of my positions having losses, doesn't allow me to compensate myself from any of the positions. So sometimes what I want to do is I want to change the ratio so I can make, possibly I can make more than I can possibly lose. Again, this doesn't provide any certainty, but it allows me to modify with better risk money management my position and strategy. In this case, if we would like to maintain this 500, as this is our target, but we would like to reduce those 500 that we can potentially lose to maybe half. Okay, at the moment, we can see that 500 out of the total value from our balance is 5%. So if I'll divide 500 by the balance, we're going to get 0.05, right? And if we multiply this by 100, we see that it's 5%. 5% out of the balance of the account. Why is that important? Because when I'm opening a position, I don't want to be too exposed, and if I lose, I am losing. I'm not going to be able to maintain my margin. Okay, I want to do proper risk money management. To do this, what I did is I did possible loss divided by balance equals factor, and then factor times 100 equals exposure percentage. Okay, now let's suppose that this 5%, we want to make it 2.5. So we don't want to lose 5% out of the account, we want to lose 2.5 at max. How can we do this? Well, since the result here is based on units times movements equals possible profit or loss, we can just take the length. We took 30 from entry, right? This is our entry, and this is $30 away. So we've got entry, $30 away, and then entry, $30 away. But what if we cut this by half? And instead of $30 away, we're only going to be $15 away. And we're going to be at 70 instead. So what will happen here is, with the same equation I wrote here, units stays the same units, 17, times, now instead of 30, we have 15. Okay, and that brings us to 255, right? Let's look at it together. Okay, and now instead of being exposed with 5%, we're only exposed with 2.5, while maintaining the same profit that we wanted initially, which matches perfectly with the target that we've set. Any questions, guys? Any questions about what I've explained so far? Any questions? Question from Mark. Will this work with anything else? Yes, yes, of course, Mark. As I have explained several times, this is procedural, and you can erase the name, you can erase the numbers, and place whatever values you will want. One more thing I wanted to go through is to actually ensure that I can afford the position, that I can take the position. So the position here is, the value of the position here is measured by how many ounces I've got, how many units I've got, versus the value per unit. So what we're going to do is we're going to write here price per unit equals 980, well, no, it's 989 times times 17 equals 16,813. How did I do it so fast? Well, I didn't do this calculation in my head because it's displayed in here. Okay, whoever is using the web trader can see it, it's been done automatically. The margin impact is actually based on the leverage, which means if we do, okay, so in here we're going to write the numbers, in here we're going to write the number of units equals value. This is very useful for whoever using MT4 or MT5. In here we've got the leverage. The leverage is 1 to 10. Excellent. And underneath, what the leverage is doing is it multiplies buying and selling. Okay, so particularly for platinum, I have an ability of 10 times more than my actual balance as margin to be able to buy or sell. And with the same logic, of course, there is a certain margin that I need initially to even open a position, okay, which is a percentage out of the value. So we're going to take the multiplier, since we're multiplied by 10, and we're going to divide the value by the multiplier, okay, just like that, 16,830. So we're going to go value divided by leverage equals margin impact. And that's exactly how the calculator, the platform calculates this for us. And if we do this, we can even see, yeah, this is approximately the same numbers. And instead of 16,000, we now only need 1,600. Yeah, and we can absolutely take this position with no problems, since we've got 10,000 in the free margin, and we will be using approximately 17% of our available margin. Sorry, from our balance. All right. Now, okay, so we've got another 3-4 minutes, guys. I would just maybe want to explain a little bit about who asked me about the analysis. Okay, whoever asked me about an analysis, I'm just going to explain a little bit about what was done here. Before I do that, any other questions that you guys would like to share with me? Okay, so let's understand what happened here. So as you can see, I've marked several points. Initially, I've applied Fibonacci to assist us to measure the differences. We can see that in here, approximately half a year ago, maybe less than that, we've got a serious reversal for platinum, and since then it's been bullish. There were 2 weeks and 3 weeks ago when it was bearish, but we can see here that it was reversed. And if we look at that candle, we see that it seems like a little bit like a firefly. What does a firefly means? It means that it has a very long body, and it has a tiny head here at the top. And the candle itself, the results, if we're going to look at the open and the close, okay, it's displayed here at the left upper right. We can see here that the open and the close are 9.75 and the close is 9.72. That's only $2, $3, right? It's $3 for the whole week. Well, that's not exactly what happened. What happened is that initially platinum was heading up. Let's analyze this particular candle just so we'll have a more surgically view on it. We'll switch to days. And that was the 21st. And we can see, just a second, we'll find the exact spot that we need. Perfect. Yeah, so as you can see, initially it went up, right? It was bullish, it went down, and then it went up again, closed here. This is Friday, I believe. So it went and closed a little lower than the high. But it's definitely not the $2, $3 that we saw. There were much more fluctuations than that. And if we look at the daily, we see this nice bullish trend that I was talking about. And here a little break, and then again continuation with a gap. Then again similar movement. Let's maybe measure it to see a bit more precisely. So this 2.1%, but in here 2.7%. This is a bigger momentum. Oh, I think I get rid of the rectangle just a second. And I was basically counting on the continuation of that trend. This is what I based the entry on. Of course, this is a very basic form of analysis, but this is the kind of level that I want to show you today. You can enhance and learn much more about analysis from your senior account manager. Guys, unfortunately, our time is up. You're all welcome to join us for tomorrow live Q&A and watch the recording on YouTube on our channel. Until then, I wish you to have a fruitful week. Best of luck with trading and have a good day.